guys, it's Jerningam here. We're going to be playing some more of the Donald Trump and Theresa May's talk. So we're going to press play now.
This week we commemorate the extraordinary courage and sacrifice of those who gave their lives for our liberty on D-Day 75 years ago. As leaders prepare to gather here from across the world, it is fitting that we begin with a celebration of the special relationship between the United Kingdom and the United States, enduring partners who stood side by side on that historic day and every day since. For generations, at the heart of the transatlantic alliance has been our shared democratic values, our common interests, and our commitment to justice. It is that unity of purpose that will preserve the deep-rooted ties between our people and underpin our nation's security and prosperity for the next 75 years and beyond. So I am very pleased
to welcome
the President of the United States of America on this state visit to the United Kingdom. For the past 2.5 years, the President and I have had the duty and privilege of being the latest
live at Westminster
of this precious and profound friendship between our countries. As with our predecessors, when we have faced threats to the security of our citizens and our allies, we have stood together and acted together. When Russia used a deadly nerve agent on the streets of our country, alongside the UK's expulsions, the President expelled 60 Russian intelligence officers, the largest contribution towards an unprecedented global response. And in Syria, when innocent men, women and children were victims of a barbaric chemical weapons attack, Britain and America, along with France, carried out targeted strikes against the regime. Since we spoke about NATO during my first visit to the White House, we have maintained our support for this crucial alliance. Thanks in part to your clear message on burden sharing, Donald, we have seen members pledge another $100 billion, increasing their contributions to our shared security. And I'm pleased to announce that NATO will soon be able to call on the UK's Queen Elizabeth-class aircraft carriers and F-35 fighter jets to help tackle threats around the world. Today, we've discussed again the new and evolving challenges to our security, our values, and our way of life. We share the same view about their origin and our objectives in meeting them. But like prime ministers and presidents before us, and no doubt those that will come after, we can also differ sometimes on how to confront the challenges we face. I've always talked openly with you, Donald, when we have taken a different approach, and you've done the same with me. I've always believed that cooperation and compromise are the basis of strong alliances, and nowhere is this more true than in the special relationship. Today, we've discussed again the importance of our two nations working together to address Iran's destabilizing activity in the region and to ensure Tehran cannot acquire a nuclear weapon. Although we differ on the means of achieving that, as I've said before, the UK continues to stand by the nuclear deal. It is clear that we both want to reach the same goal. It is important that Iran meets its obligations, and we do everything to avoid escalation, which is in no one's interest. Recognising our nations as safer and more prosperous when we work together on the biggest challenges of our time, I also set out the UK's approach to tackling climate change and our continued support for the Paris Agreement. And we also spoke about China, recognising its economic significance and that we cannot ignore action that threatens our shared interests or values. As we've deepened our cooperation on security, including our joint military operations and our unparalleled intelligence sharing, so our economies too are ever more tightly bound together. Every morning, 1 million Americans get up and go to work for British companies in America, and 1 million Britons do the same for American companies here. Our trading relationship is worth over £190 billion a year, and we're the largest investors in each other's economies, with mutual investments valued at as much as $1 trillion. Mr. President, you and I agreed the first time we met that we should aim for an ambitious free trade agreement when the UK leaves the EU. And from our positive discussions today, I know that we both remain committed to this. I'm also sure that our economic relationship will only grow broader and deeper, building on the conversations we had and the ideas we heard from UK and US businesses when we met them earlier today. Tomorrow we will sit down in Portsmouth with our fellow leaders to reaffirm the enduring importance of the Western Alliance and the shared values that underpin it. And as we look to the future, in the years and in the generations ahead, we will continue to work together to preserve the alliance that is the bedrock of our shared prosperity and security, just as it was on the beaches of Normandy 75 years ago. Mr. President.
Well, thank you, Prime Minister May. Melania and I are honored to return to London as our nations commemorate the 75th anniversary of D-Day in World War II. We want to thank Her Majesty the Queen, who I had a lovely dinner with last night, a fantastic person, fantastic woman, for so graciously inviting us to this state visit. It was very, very special. Our thanks as well to Prime Minister and Mr. May for the warm welcome they've given the First Lady and me as we remember the heroes who laid down their lives to rescue civilization itself. On June 6, 1944, tens of thousands of young warriors left these shores by the sea and air to begin the invasion of Normandy and the liberation of Europe and the brutal Nazi occupation. It was a liberation like few people have seen before. Among them were more than 130,000 American and British brothers in arms. Through their valor and sacrifice, they secured our homelands and saved freedom for the world. Tomorrow, Prime Minister May and I will attend a commemoration ceremony in Portsmouth, one of the key embarkation points for the invasion. More than 1.5 million American service members were stationed right here in England in advance of the landings that summer. The bonds of friendship forged here and sealed in blood on those hallowed beaches will endure forever. Our special relationship is grounded in common history, values, customs, culture, language, and laws. Our people believe in freedom and independence as a sacred birthright and cherished inheritance worth defending at any cost. As the Prime Minister and I discussed in our meetings today and yesterday, the United States and the United Kingdom share many goals and priorities around the world. I want to thank the people of the United Kingdom for their service and partnership in our campaign to defeat ISIS. As we announced a few months ago, ISIS's territorial caliphate in Syria and Iraq has been completely obliterated, defeated. The United Kingdom is also a key partner in NATO. The Prime Minister and I agree that our NATO allies must increase their defense spending. We've both been working very hard toward that end, and we are very current, and some of them are not. We can't allow that to happen, but I appreciate everything you've done in that regard. We expect a growing number of nations to meet the minimum 2% of GDP requirement. To address today's challenges, all members of the alliance must fulfill their obligations. They have no choice. They must fulfill their obligation. Among the pressing threats facing our nations is the development and spread of nuclear weapons. Perhaps that's our greatest threat. The United States and the United Kingdom are determined to ensure that Iran never develops nuclear weapons and stops supporting and engaging in terrorism. And I believe that will happen. In protecting our nations, we also know that the border security is national security. Today, the Prime Minister and I discussed our thriving economic relationship. Both countries are doing very well and participated in a roundtable with industry and business leaders. I can say probably the biggest business leaders anywhere in the world. Our nations have more than $1 trillion invested in each other's economics. The United Kingdom is America's largest foreign investor in our largest European export market. That's a lot of importance. As the UK makes preparations to exit the European Union, the United States is committed to a phenomenal trade deal between the US and the UK. There is tremendous potential in that trade deal. I say probably 2 and even 3 times of what we're doing right now. Tremendous potential. 75 years ago this Thursday, courageous Americans and British patriots set out from this island toward history's most important battle. They stormed forward out of ships and airplanes, risking everything to defend our people and to ensure that the United States and Britain would forever remain sovereign and forever remain free. Following this press conference, Prime Minister May, Mr. May, the First Lady, my family and I will visit the legendary Churchill War Rooms beneath the streets of London. I look forward to that. In his famous speech on this day in June 1940, Prime Minister Churchill urged his countrymen to defend our island, whatever the cost may be. As we mark this solemn anniversary of D-Day, we remember that the defense of our nations does not begin on the battlefield, but within the heart of every patriot. Today, let us renew our pledge, engraved at the American Cemetery in Normandy and inscribed by President Dwight Eisenhower in St. Paul's Cathedral, right here in London, that the cause for which they died shall live. Prime Minister May, it's been a true honor. I have greatly enjoyed working with you. You are a tremendous professional and a person that loves your country dearly. Thank you very much. Really an honor. Thank you for the invitation to memorialize our fallen heroes and for your partnership in protecting and advancing the extraordinary alliance between the American and the British people. It's the greatest alliance the world has ever known. Thank you, Prime Minister. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we're going to take 2 questions from the UK media and 2 questions from the American media. I'll start with Beth Rigby.
Thank you, Prime Minister President Trump. Beth Rigby from Sky News. For you, President Trump, as you hold talks with the current Prime Minister, the leader of Her Majesty's opposition has been addressing a protest rally against your visit in Trafalgar Square. He says he's disappointed you attacked the London mayor, and he criticised your record on refugees. What do you have to say to him? And is this man someone you could do a trade deal with? And to you, Prime Minister, do you think that Sadiq Khan is a stone-cold loser? Thank you.
You're talking about the Mayor of London. Is that who you said? Yes. Well, I think he's been a not very good mayor from what I understand. He's done a poor job. Crime is up, a lot of problems. And I don't think he should be criticizing a representative of the United States that can do so much good for the United Kingdom. We talked about it before. He should be positive, not negative. He's a negative force, not a positive force. And if you look at what he said, he hurts the people of this great country. And I think he should actually focus on his job. It'd be a lot better if he did that. He could straighten out some of the problems that he has and probably some of the problems that he's caused. Thank you.
Can I?
He wanted to meet with me, and I told him no. Yes. Well, I don't know Jeremy Corbyn. Never met him. Never spoke to him. He wanted to meet today or tomorrow, and I decided that I would not do that. I think that he is, from where I come from, somewhat of a negative force. I think that people should look to do things correctly as opposed to criticize. I really don't like critics as much as I like and respect people that get things done. So I've decided not to meet. As far as the protests, I have to tell you, because I commented on it yesterday, we left the Prime Minister, the Queen, the royal family. There were thousands of people on the streets cheering. And even coming over today, there were thousands of people cheering. And then I heard that there were protests. I said, where are the protests? I don't see any protests. I did see a small protest today when I came, very small. So a lot of it is fake news, I hate to say, but you saw the people waving the American flag, waving your flag. It was tremendous spirit and love. There was great love. There was an alliance. And I didn't see the protesters until just a little while ago, and it was a very, very small group of people put in for political reasons. So it was fake news. Thank you.
And I would say to both the Mayor of London and to Jeremy Corbyn, the discussions that we have had today are about the future of this most important relationship between the US and the UK. As the President described it, the greatest alliance the world has seen. It is this deep, special relationship and partnership between the United States and the United Kingdom that ensures our safety and security, and the safety and security of others around the world too. And it is this relationship that helps to ensure there are jobs that employ people here in the UK and in the United States, that underpins our prosperity and our future. That is a relationship we should cherish. It is a relationship we should build on. It is a relationship we should be proud of. Mr. President, would you like to...
Big, and this really is a very big, important alliance. And I think people should act positively toward it because it means so much for both countries. It means so much, and it's been so good. Steve Holland, yes, go ahead, Steve.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you. Is that on there? What is your current view on Brexit, sir? Should Britain leave the European Union if there is no agreement by October 31st? And for the Prime Minister, what would be the ramifications for the UK if there is not a deal?
Well, I don't like to take positions in things that I'm not, really. I understand the issue very well. I really predicted what was going to happen. Some of you remember that prediction. It was a strong prediction made at a certain location on a development we were opening the day before it happened. And I thought it was going to happen because of immigration more than anything else, but probably it happens for a lot of reasons. But I would say, yeah, I would think that it will happen, and it probably should happen. This is a great, great country, and it wants its own identity. It wants to have its own borders. It wants to run its own affairs. This is a very, very special place, and I think it deserves a special place. And I thought maybe for that reason, and for others, but that reason it was going to happen. Yeah, I think it will happen. And I believe the Prime Minister's brought it to a very good point where something will take place in the not too distant future. I think she's done a very good job. I believe it would be good for the country, yes.
And from my point of view, I believe it is important for us to deliver Brexit. We gave that choice to the British people. Parliament overwhelmingly gave the choice to the British people. We should now deliver on that choice. I continue to believe that actually it's in the best interests of the UK to leave the European Union in an orderly way with a deal. I think we have a good deal. Sadly, the Labour Party and other MPs have so far stopped us from delivering Brexit and that deal. But we will, but obviously this is an issue that is going to continue here in the UK. I think the important thing is we deliver Brexit, and once we're out of the European Union, we will be able to do what we've been talking about today and develop not just that free trade agreement, but a broader economic partnership into the future.
Matter. Mr. President, are you prepared to impose limits on intelligence sharing with Britain if they do not put in place some restrictions on Huawei?
No, because we're going to have absolutely an agreement on Huawei and everything else. We have an incredible intelligence relationship, and we will be able to work out any differences. I think we're not going to have it. We did discuss it. I see absolutely no limitations. We've never had limitations. This is a truly great ally and partner, and we'll have no problem with that. Okay?
Francis.
Mr. President, Francis Elliott from The Times. Do you agree with your ambassador that the entire economy needs to be on the table in a future trade deal, including the NHS? And Prime Minister, are you tempted to take the Prime Minister President up his word and stick around for a bit until the trade deal is done?
I think we're going to have a great trade deal, yes. I think we're going to have a great and very comprehensive trade deal. I can't hear you. Look, I think everything with the trade deal is on the table. When you're dealing in trade, everything's on the table. So NHS or anything else, or a lot more than that. But everything will be on the table, absolutely.
Okay. But the point about making trade deals is, of course, that both sides negotiate and come to an agreement about what should or should not be in that trade deal. for the future. And as regards your second question, Francis, nice try, but no. Look, I'm a woman of my word. Mr. President, would you like to?
John, please.
Mr. President, thank you. Mr. President, domestically, in recent days, Mexico has stepped up apprehensions and deportations of Central American migrants.
That's good.
This could possibly be in response to your threat of tariffs. Has Mexico
Not possibly be.
has Mexico done enough to avoid tariffs, which will be imposed in some 6 days from now?
No, we haven't started yet.
But the threat is out there.
Yeah, the threat is out there, but we haven't really started yet. No, this will take effect next week.
And what do you
5%.
And what do you think of Republicans who say that they may take action to block you imposing those
No, I
tariffs?
don't think they will do that. I think if they do, it's foolish. There's nothing more important than borders. I've had tremendous Republican support. I have a 90%, 94% approval rating as of this morning in the Republican Party. That's an all-time record. Can you believe that? Isn't that something? I love records. We have a 94% approval rating in the Republican Party. I want to see security at our border. I'm going to see great trade. I'm going to see a lot of things happening, and that is happening. And as you know, Mexico called. They want to meet. They're going to meet on Wednesday. Secretary Pompeo is going to be at the meeting, along with a few others that are very good at this, and we are going to see if we can do something. But I think it's more likely that the tariffs go on, and we'll probably be talking during the time that the tariffs are on and they're going to be paid. And if they don't step up and give us security for our nation, look, millions of people are flowing through Mexico. That's unacceptable. Millions and millions of people are coming right through Mexico. It's a 2,000-mile journey, and they're coming up to our border. And our Border Patrol, which is incredible, they're apprehending them. But our laws are bad because the Democrats don't want to pass laws that could be passed in 15 minutes, that could be passed quickly. In one day, it could change. But even beyond the laws, Mexico shouldn't allow millions of people to try and enter our country. And they could stop it very quickly. And I think they will. And if they won't, we're going to put tariffs on. And every month, those tariffs go from 5% to 10% to 15% to 20% and then to 25%. And what will happen then is all of those companies that have left our country and gone to Mexico are going to be coming back to us. And that's okay. That's okay. But I think Mexico will step up and do what they should have been done. And I don't want to hear that Mexico is run by the cartels and the drug lords and the coyotes. I don't want to hear about that. A lot of people are saying that. Mexico has something to prove. But I don't want to hear that they're run by the cartels. You understand. You report on it all the time. A lot of people do. That would be a terrible thing. Mexico should step up and stop this onslaught, this invasion into our country, John.
Prime Minister May, you tried 3 times to get a deal on Brexit. At this point, do you believe that a deal on Brexit is possible, or is this a Gordian knot? President Trump says that you didn't take his advice in terms of negotiation. Should you have, would that have made a difference? And President Trump, if I could ask a follow-up, you had a conversation with Boris Johnson. Could we ask what you spoke about, and will you meet with Michael Gove today?
Well, first of all, on the first issues, I said in answer to an earlier question, I personally believe that it is in the best interests of the UK to leave the European Union with a deal. I believe there is a good deal on the table. Obviously, it will be for whoever succeeds me as Prime Minister to take this issue forward. What is paramount, I believe, is delivering on Brexit for the British people. And I seem to remember the President suggested that I sued the European Union, which we didn't do. We went into negotiations and we came out with a good deal.
Yeah. That's not such a... I would have sued, but that's okay. I would have sued and settled, baby, but you never know. She's probably a better negotiator than I am, Jeremy. But you know what? She has got it, in a sense, John. That deal is teed up. I think that is really teed up. I think they have to do something. And perhaps you won't be given the credit that you deserve if they do something. But I think you deserve a lot of credit. I really do. I think you deserve a lot of credit. Okay? Yes, John? So I know Boris. I like him. I've liked him for a long time. I think he'd do a very good job. I know Jeremy. I think he'd do a very good job. I don't know Michael, but Would he do a good job, Jeremy? Tell me. Okay. Good. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, that was an interesting video with Theresa May and Donald Trump. I'm going to put on the next one with Donald Trump.
Anymore. That's the sort of behaviour I'd expect from.
This is a C. Khan doesn't like Donald Trump. This is his video.
To choose how he decides to tweet. I think there are serious issues that we want to raise with the president of the USA. Yes, of course.
This guy doesn't like Donald Trump. I don't understand why.
I compare it to having a best friend. Our expectations of our best friend are much higher than they are an acquaintance or just a friend. And
I think Donald Trump's doing a good job, so is Theresa May, and Jeremy Corbyn's coming up with the same stuff over and over again. All Jeremy Corbyn talks about is customs union.
Ability to share some of the concerns we've got with Donald Trump.
If they are playground antics, as you say, why do you engage with them?
Well, this all began, you'll remember this, this all began when Donald Trump was running to be the president. And he said he wanted to ban Muslims from entering into the USA. But I make an exception for the Muslim mayor of London, Sadiq Khan. And the point I made, and I did it in a courteous manner, is look, there's nothing exceptional about me. Don't make an exception for me. I think your ban is a bad idea. There are lots of Muslims, not just in America, who love being American and are proud to be Muslims, but around the world who love America. And actually, you're playing to the hands of those extremists who say Islam and the West are incompatible. And that led to him going off on Twitter rants and saying beastly things about me. The point I was trying to make in advance of his trip is we have an opportunity to influence our closest ally on some of the things we disagree with him about. Let me just give you some examples, if I may. We disagree with him surely about his policy to ban Muslims from certain countries. Surely we disagree with his policy to separate children from their parents on the Mexican border. Surely we think it's wrong when he amplifies the tweets from racists in this country. And surely we should be saying, listen, you know, you do realise you're a poster boy for the far-right movement around the world, from Hungary to Italy, France to the UK. And also we should be saying, you know what, we think we face a climate emergency. We think you made a mistake walking away from the Paris Climate Change Accord. Will you think about coming back? Can we persuade you to come back? And I could go on. And my point is, Theresa May is so weak as a prime minister, and our government is so scared that it wouldn't say boo to a goose. So I think that's wrong. Our values are reflected by this prime minister. We should be saying that to him.
I think this guy follows Jeremy Corbyn's Labour. Sadiq Khan does. Not a Conservative.
Embarking in, toing and froing with him on Twitter, and why weren't you at the state banquet last night?
Well, I'm very happy to meet with Donald Trump. I've always said it's right and proper for there to be a good working relationship between our country and the USA. He should come here, not the state visit. And there should be a state banquet. There should be the rolling out of the red carpet. That's an honour bestowed on very few presidents. Only two, I think, have had that honour bestowed upon them. And I think the point I've made since he was first elected, of course,
Clinton,
of course, have a good relationship.
Bush and Obama of late. So that's three I can think of straight off the top of my head.
Well, the two are Bush and Obama. Actually, Clinton didn't have a state visit, but that's a by the by. The point being is he's been president for 2 years. And yes, of course, he should be here commemorating the D-Day 75 years ago. With the Canadians are here, New Zealand's here, Australia's here. Of course, we should commemorate the D-Day landings. One of the things those brave men and women fought for is for us to have religious freedoms. They fought for equality. Look, I can't be silent when there's a rolling back of women's reproductive rights in America. I can't be silent when LGBT plus rights are being rolled back in America. I can't be silent when the president of this free world is defending white supremacists, neo-Nazis and anti-Semites in Charlottesville. I just can't be silent when he amplifies the tweets of racists.
This guy doesn't half talk shit on the left.
I'm embarrassed that our prime minister isn't willing to say boo to a goose.
So the thing to do is engage rather than snub.
And I'm very happy to. I'm very happy to engage with. Look, I've offered to meet with Donald Trump, to take him around our wonderful city, to show him the strengths of diversity. I'm celebrating Eid today, to show him at the Mosque of London where there are proud Londoners, proud Brits, but also comfortable with being a Muslim as well. I've just come from the Migration Museum in South London, where you can see the benefits to our city and our country of migration, economically, socially, and culturally. By the way, America's also benefited from migration as well. I'm really happy to meet with...
There's a lot of jealous people in the world that just don't understand one another. Like this guy here,
And by the way,
as we're
if
filming.
the President of the USA gets wound up by the Mayor of London, God only knows what will happen if the leader of North Korea or Iran try and wind up, and I'm not trying to do that.
But you know that he loves the pomp and circumstance. We all know that. You know, he likes having his ego massaged. No better way than to offer him a state visit so that he can have FaceTime with Her Majesty, perhaps even fist bumping. We're not sure whether he did that or not. That's open to speculation. But if that means we get a good trade deal, surely you just need to hold your nose and let it happen.
Can I just tell you this, that there are people in Hungary, Italy, France, in this country as well, who a few years ago their views were on the fringe. They're far-right extremists. Their views are now mainstream and they've been normalised because of Donald Trump. Donald Trump is the poster boy for the far-right movement, and that's given him even more credibility. I think it's a mistake. I think in years to come, by the way, we're going to regret giving this state visit to Donald Trump. And what sort of message does it send to friends in Hungary, in Italy, in France, and elsewhere, and all around the Western world, where they've seen a rise of nativist populist movements, and Donald Trump is seen as the leader of this far-right movement. His former campaign manager is going around the world teaching extremist movements how to become normalized and mainstream. Are we really going to stay silent about this?
But Mr. Mayor, if I may, your responsibility is to the people of London, and that includes the business leaders of London, and they need a good deal with the United States when we pull out of Brexit. And so, as a result, we need to roll out the red carpet, not only here in Downing Street, but also over at Buckingham Palace for the President of the United States, if that's what it takes.
Well, let me see. I talk on a daily basis to Americans, businesses, tourists, students who come to our city and enrich our city. There's wonderful businesses in London which are American businesses, and similarly, wonderful Londoners who go to America and contribute to America as well. Of course, we're in a good trade deal with America. We've got a pretty good deal now as members of the European Union. All I'd say respectfully to our government is be very careful accepting the advice from this president to walk away from the EU without a deal, expecting a fantastic trade deal with the USA. We heard this Sunday from the ambassador, you referred to him. He was talking this Sunday about the sort of trade deal the Americans want is US private firms running the NHS. The sort of trade deal America wants is their chicken and their beef being accessible in our country, when we know the standards are very different to America, to what they are to in our country. So a good deal for America is not necessarily a good deal for us, but I'd advise caution expecting a good deal with America on the basis of what Donald Trump said yesterday.
Final question to you, Mr. Mayor, if I may. You talk about Mr. Trump being petty. Why have you allowed them to fly that baby blimp? You know it's offensive and it's going to upset him.
Well, the key thing in relation to any blimp, by the way, there's been a blimp flown about me, flown of me as well, is that, look, it's got to be peaceful, it's got to be safe, and it's got to be lawful. One of the great things about our country
Peaceful,
is
safe,
the
and
rights we
lawful.
have in relation to freedom of expression.
Enough peaceful and safe and lawful like
It's got to
that.
be safe, peaceful, and lawful. I can't be a censor to decide what is tasteful and what is not. I grew up watching Spitting Image, where we saw politicians, really respected politicians, having fun made about them. Look, there was a blimp of me wearing a yellow bikini. My only criticism was red's my colour, not yellow.
I don't know what he meant by that. Red's not colour but yellow, but interesting. I'm just seeing if there's anything else that we've covered. I think we've covered all of the things about Donald Trump today, but we can sure soon see. Oh, there's another video I've missed out. There we go.
President Donald Trump's first UK state visit was always going to be divisive.
Oh, look, kicking off.
last year, the president's visit saw tens of thousands of people take to the streets in London to protest against his presence, policies, and personality. This year, the UK rolled out everything but the red carpet for the 45th President of the United States. But across the UK, protesters and well-wishers alike have been gearing up to show Donald Trump he both is and isn't welcome on UK soil. In central London, protesters gathered outside Buckingham Palace on either side of the Queen Victoria Memorial. Separated by both location and ideology, each side deeply entrenched in their views about the man meeting the Queen inside the palace.
He's an embarrassment to the United States of America, and everybody there knows it, except for Hicks in God knows who.
I think he's a great man. He's the best thing to happen to public life since I was little. He's a man of integrity, and he's about putting his people first, and I find that very admirable. And I think it's something that they should do here. I like his language. I think it's colourful. I think that's great. We need some colourful language. We need people to tell the truth. He talks like the way we talk in private, but publicly. And I think because we live in this PC culture, everyone's supposed to be oppressed and highly sensitive. Some people are overreacting to what is something that is nothing to overreact about. You have to be out of your mind to think that you're oppressed in the West. Really, come on.
I'm down here today because of Donald Trump. There's two things. One, he's a climate denier, and the earth is dying. We've got 12 years, otherwise we're doomed. We've had it. And also this, he's a racist, a bigot, a homophobe, an Islamophobe, and every phobe except for pure white American stock.
I think he's a great president. He's a guy that keeps his promises. And I think he's a very, very important trading partner for the UK.
I do believe that his ideas are not good for our country because he brings violence, he brings ideas of hate and fear.
This country, Brexit, we voted Brexit, Donald Trump, it's the same Donald Trump's not our Prime Minister.
The president himself was kept well away from the action. As helicopters hovered overhead, the president's imposing motorcade of security, police, and press accompanied his two identical armoured Cadillacs down the Mall. Bulletproof black tinted windows meant those gathered under the trees had to guess which of the two vehicles to direct their abuse or adoration towards. As the president was whisked around central London in a carefully choreographed display of British hospitality, supporters on the ground took aim at the masses of media gathered around Buckingham Palace.
Oh yeah, she's got a mic. And she's got a mic, and she's going to wind up the lamestream, fake-stream media right over here. I love that I'm winding her up. I'm sorry.
It's based, Amy.
Jacket. You know what? It's just
she's a YouTuber as well.
to know that you're very annoyed with me right now.
The media are now the enemy of the public because they refuse to be honest about anyone. They refuse to be honest about Trump.
As the state dinner began, anti-Trumpers did their best to get their message through the gates, past the walls and windows of Buckingham Palace, and into the ears of the politicians, royals, and president inside.
You just destroyed my property. You're making America great again. I think America's done a great job with Donald Trump. Yeah, what's that about? No, don't touch me. I'm just escorting you to the pro-Donald Trump.
Bloody hell. What world we live in, eh? What world we live in. This is D-Day. This is the soldiers on D-Day. They're talking about the war. These are the old war veterans that I'm showing on YouTube. What's fought in the Second World War. So yeah, don't know what to say about that. I think we covered most of unless we've got another video we can quickly show before ending this one. There we go.
I heard that there were protests. I said, where are the protests? I don't see any protests. I did see a small protest today when I came, very small. So a lot of it is fake news, I hate to say it.
Yes, I'm here to let Mr. Trump know that the British people do not like his policies, particularly on climate change. And we want fracking to stay in the ground. We don't need freedom of fuels that are not freedom of fuels. They're just money makers.
Well, it was just a coincidence that we were in London, but I wouldn't miss an opportunity to protest against Mr. Trump. I refuse to call him president. I don't believe he is.
Yeah, do you mind telling me why you're here dressed as a chicken?
We're just here because we're concerned that if the US and UK do trade deal, then our food standards will lower, because there's loads of restrictions at the moment in the EU, which we're part of. If we leave that and we do just America, they've got much lower food standards, one of which is chlorinated chicken, which we don't allow here. So we're worried about that. But also, it sort of symbolises everything we're worried about, like the NHS being sold off for profit rather than being good.
What do you hope will come out of today's protests?
I hope that he'll see some protesters, and he might not tweet about it, he might not publicly acknowledge that he's been upset by it, but it will get to him. Things get to him. He's such an immature man that he will see us and he will be upset.
So I say to our visitors that have arrived this week, think on, please,
Jeremy
about
Corbyn.
a world that is one of peace and disarmament, is one of recognising the values of all people, is a world that defeats racism, defeats misogyny.
Gets my nerves, Jeremy Corbyn. I don't know about you guys.
That are being fuelled by the far right in politics, in Britain, in Europe and the United States. And by our demonstration here today, we've shown
Jeremy Corbyn talks shit. Labour Party.
we, all of us, are.
Absolute rubbish he talks. Well, so look, I think I've covered most of this video or live stream. Thank you for joining me on this, guys, and hope to see you in the next video. Okay, I've got a better go for now. Thank you, guys. Peace out. Thank you for joining me. Please like, comment, subscribe, share these videos with your friends, and I'll see you in the next one. Hope you've all enjoyed the video. Take it easy, guys. Peace.